Hi there, you're at the Solana Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So last week, actually this week as well, Solana has been rejected for 3 consecutive weeks from the key level of $210. So let's quickly dive into the charts and see what indications we can find. Is the climb over yet? That's the question we have to answer. So here, we're looking at the weekly chart, and let me switch off the Bollinger Band corner squeeze. For the time being, let's look at the Wyckoff stages. Instead of the LPSY, it may be just an exploration towards the upwards of the distribution. So this upward channel is still effective as of this moment. For the time being, the price naturally got rejected by the ceiling of this upward channel. So it happened multiple times already. So 3 times back in May, these 3 over here, another time back in late July, and then 3 consecutive weeks including this week. So it's a normal behavior for the price to trade and bounce between the 2 edges of the channel. Now that it is here, and well, one would argue, would it repeat what happened back in May and then come down to test the bottom? That's totally possible. Just that there are 2 key levels it has to, go through or break below before that can happen if it really falls very quickly. First, 180, that's the first key level it has to break below. Last week, it tried, but the bulls successfully defended it. This week, the candle ended up, the low of the candle ended up higher than the previous week. So the bulls once again successfully pushed the price to where it is now. They tried even harder to go above the 210 key level, but they weren't successful. As of this moment, they haven't been successful yet to get or stay above this 210 level, because when that happens, that's going to open up an entire big range of $50 gap from 210 to 260. That's the next key level up there. That would be a very wild range up there. So as of now, it's only $30 gap right there when they're still trading around this level. So this week's candle may mean a potential retracement to somewhere around the center of the this upward channel. So this line over here, change it to this color. So that's where the trading found support back around late July and beginning of this month. Likewise for the 2 candles just at the previous 2 weeks. So it may happen in a way that the price come test the center line and then eventually retest the blue key level and further up to the top edge of the upward channel. So that's the positive scenario. The negative scenario, however, is that because the current level is actually where the buying climax was back in March last year. That was quite a long time ago. People might have forgotten that already. So here, there may be very strong resistance. CRO, yes, I have CRO, so you can check my playlist. There should be one for CRO over there. It's very crazy, I know, in the past few days because of the news, but be very careful now that it's coming down. It can come down very quickly. That's probably like an outlier scenario that pushed the price beyond the climax. So I'll get to CRO actually tomorrow again. So it's good that you asked, Tony. You can check my last video that I did probably 2 weeks ago now, because I cover CRO every 2 weeks, and tomorrow should be the time I get back to CRO. So I'll be there tomorrow for CRO, don't worry. So back to Solana here. We're talking about the bounce and the worst case scenario coming down to show us a sign of weakness. In order to do that, what would happen is it has to break outside of this upward channel. So that's very bad news for the bulls team. If you are in the bulls team, be cautious about that. Not that it's going to happen very soon. I'm more inclined to think the positive scenario will still happen, just that whether it has sufficient good news and community support to boost the price past this 210 key level that where the buying climax was. Because up there may be a lot of people sitting with a bunch of Solana that they have bought during the upthrust as well as the second test after it. So when the price gets to this range above 210, there's quite significant selling force going to happen. So it's not an easy level to stay above. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Last time during the upthrust back in 2021, that was also, if people bought over there, they would have sold around this level because they have been sitting there. Even if they're diamond hands, they have been sitting there for 4 years. Life conditions might have changed to them. They may want to invest into other coins, and it sold right here. So this level is not easy to re-enter, even though I am more inclined to think it should go that way. I'm going to tell you why, because in the daily chart, last week we talked about the wedges, these dotted lines over here. Over the weekend, just 2 days after our session, these two shorter candles, the bulls, has pushed the top line to a horizontal line, and this forms an ascending triangle. And in terms of candlestick pattern analysis, an ascending triangle is a bullish sign, and that's where we are now. The bulls are still fighting very hard to push the price above this line as well as the blue key level. Like I said, the blue key level, anywhere above the blue, is a very, very heavily bearish zone, I would say, because of what happened earlier. I explained that many people may be sitting on having Solana sitting in their hands at that price level, so quite a number of people would sell at that point. So now, today, when we look at the candle here, it's being suppressed under this horizontal line, unfortunately, but this longer wick at the bottom is showing some kind of support that the bulls are trying to push the price back to this level. So it will be a fierce battle for the next few days. Between this session and the next session, there are probably some crazy stuff going on around these two lines over here that we would probably be able to see continuous high volume, unless everybody is going to take a break during the weekend, much like what happened last week. So over the weekend, like after Monday, they fought fiercely actually, but not as fierce as the last few days. So it has been climbing and climbing in terms of volume. It reached the level where the buying climax happened back in late July. So that's a very active period, I would say. Both the bulls and the bears trying to fight this battle around this 210 key level. So hopefully the uptrend will continue because of this upward or ascending triangle. But don't be too optimistic that the price would go crazily high, unless Solana is going to have a very big announcement, much like, I don't know, maybe CRO or maybe some other altcoins that went crazy in a past period, like recent past. I'm saying that, you know, good news one after another, pushing them to a level that's probably not very sustainable. But for now, the charts are kind of showing us that not only because of this ascending triangle, a squeeze is also happening. So that's a very interesting scenario, because if a squeeze, the force from this squeeze is going to be released then go down to 197 first and then up. Good call, rock and roll. That's where I'm trying to get to. So the squeeze, it doesn't tell us which direction it goes, but it's going to tell us, or it's trying to tell us, a bigger price move is coming. So as of now, it's going upward, and these lines, the purple and the orange, has gone together. That means the squeeze is happening. Last time when the squeeze clearly happened was right around here. The price went down first, but then the squeeze hasn't finished, and it squeezed the price up to the peak during late July. And then now another squeeze is happening. Don't be too happy, however, because another squeeze happened back in late May over there, over here. Actually squeezed the price downward all the way to the bottom in late June. So right now is a tricky situation. So back to your question, rock and roll. If the squeeze really is going to push the price downwards, not only back to 197, there's a chance for it to go as low as well, 170-ish, 180, or because that's where the key level is. This light blue key level, 180. That's the worst case scenario if the squeeze is really squeezing the price towards the downside. And that's also where the automatic reaction is back in late July. So this time, let's say that's the second test, and we're now in the upthrust. Remember, shared in the other sessions that when a price got to a new peak, I'm not sure whether this is the peak yet, but assuming this is, let's say assuming this is, I still have a question mark because it's fluctuating pretty fiercely right now. There should be another adjustment. I call it automatic reaction 2 if this is an upthrust. So that's why it's normal in terms of Wyckoff terminology that it comes down to a level where previously it has come down to. So 197 is an intermediate level. So here 197 is right there. Well, while we can find a little bit of reference points, it's not a key support or resistance. It may provide very short-term support if the price really comes down. A more solid support, I would say, than that one, even though it's intermediate, is around 190. Okay, before it comes down to test this 180 level. So 190, 180, those are the two immediate support levels. So hope that answered your question. So it's possible to come down, and it can come down lower than 197. So I've put in here is actually, if that's the upthrust, then when it comes further up, that would be where the upthrust of the distribution goes. So as of now, let's see whether it's going to head to an AR2 or even worse, a sign of weakness at the green level, because the squeeze is happening. So it really depends whether this uptrend is going to able to continue. If not, then it will fall through this upward trend line and eventually comes to the sign of weaknesses. But my thinking, probably 60% is towards the upside to challenge the blue, and 40% is going to come down to these reaction or sign of weakness levels. You're welcome, rock and roll. Okay, so big picture covered, short term, like more frequent time frame covered. Thanks for your question, and thanks for joining me in this Solana session. I'll move on to Bitcoin Cash, and then we'll call